Thank you so much for joining us, Bonin. My annual meeting with you in Cannes, simply spectacular, and I can't wait to start this very, very eclectic conversation.
I'm very happy to be here once again.
So, every time I track you throughout the year, there's some new things, new buzzwords that you throw up. And this time, what really caught my fancy was PRM, personal relationship management.
Of course.
And you talked about the fact that, social is all right, but I mean, the way forward is via text messaging.
I really began to have kind of a transformational journey maybe 6 months ago when I started really looking, and Mary Meeker just talked about it in her most recent report. But if you look, in 2011, there was one messaging app in the top 10 downloaded apps in the world, and that was Skype. If you look now, 7 of the top 10 downloaded apps are message-based apps.
Sure.
Snapchat is not even counted yet, but that will be there and many more to come, I'm sure. So while 1 in 5 minutes are spent in the Facebook newsfeed, which is amazing, 4 to 5 minutes are spent in Messenger. And the relationships that you care about and what you build and what you really do on your phone is in those messaging spaces. And so there's no way that you can sit here and tell me that brands will not communicate with consumers over messaging. It's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to get it right out of the gate. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. So what we're trying to do is begin that journey, because not only is it the most personal form of communication that you can have with the consumer and real relationship building, but also eventually, and I would say in the near future, it removes friction from commerce. So if you think about it, the only bill that anybody pays consistently on the planet is their cell phone bill.
Sure.
And so the ability to say, oh, yes, text back, yes, I'll auto deduct from your phone bill, or buy content, or buy product, or whatever it is. So the closeness to the consumer and the reduction of friction from that relationship, it's huge. This is the future, there's no question.
You've just made an announcement that you will almost double your investment with Facebook, and you're going to be doing something very interesting with them in the e-commerce space with your chatbot. Give me a sense as to why you think your relationship with Facebook is so profitable that you would double it, and be a little bit about what these chatbots are, because in my market, it's an alien concept.
We are very lucky to have a partner like Facebook. As we began to look at messaging, given the fact that they own WhatsApp and they own Messenger, it became clear that if we wanted to understand this platform, and that's the thing that I think is most interesting, is that if you really step back and think about it, all of the services, all the strategic thinking, all of the ad tech that exists for social doesn't exist for a place where 4 billion people spend their time. 4 billion people use messaging. None of that stuff exists. There's no agency specific to it. There's no, so there's nothing there. And so my point is that there was really nobody to give us the roadmap and look, there are people who have been doing texting, and some of our competitors have done texting, and we've done message programs, but nothing at scale that realizes the real future of this. And so with Facebook, what we announced was our Facebook Messaging Lab. Bots is one part of that, right? I believe that the future has bots, maybe a third of the engagement that you'll have over messaging with a brand or with a service will be bot-driven. I believe the other 2/3 will actually be human-driven or some type of tagging and escalation kind of driven experience. But what the first thing we want to do is just figure out, if you were a consumer, what would you even say to Oreo? What would you say?
Why would I want to interact with Oreo?
I don't know. I have no clue yet. We're going to figure that out. It could be we offer you something. It could be as simple as the other challenge that we're facing as organizations and in the industry as a total is data. So we are data starved. Whereas the competitors that are coming into the marketplace, whether it's 3 Twirls out of China, which is built on the back of Alibaba, or players like a NatureBox, which might not seem like a competitor, and I love those guys, we're super close to them. But if you think about it, they have, I think it's 12 million consumers on subscription. They have real data around their consumers. They not only sell online, but they sell food service and they sell big box now. And as they sit down with retailers, they come to the retailer with real data. They're data rich, we're data starved. All the data that we buy is third party ultimately, right? And so we're constantly held over. But imagine a world where I wanted to get first party data. Imagine a world where I told you, you know what, for this week, any pack of Oreo that you get will be free if you just text me. If you just text Oreo. I don't know what we're going to say there. And I don't know what those pieces are yet. But conceptually, all of a sudden, I get first party data for $4.50.
I get what you're saying, and I know that this is still a WIP, and we don't know how the piece will come together.
I don't either.
But for instance, if you're saying that you're going to launch a buy button on Messenger, right? My question to you is, why would I buy just Oreo or only your product?
It could be recipe driven. It could be, if you look at the other announcement that we made that was big, which was media monetization. And so the whole idea there is that as we look, and all these streams run together, as we look at the world, we know that there is tremendous fragmentation around viewership. So people have, the options for consumers of what content they can view has grown exponentially. Our money has increased incrementally at best, which means that as we look over the horizon, the cost per incremental reach point after you hit a certain 60, 70% becomes really, really expensive. And we know that the laws of growth tell us that we have to reach as many people as possible. So reach matters. The challenge will be we can't afford to buy the same amount of reach that we used to make to drive our business. And so as we look out into the world, we said to ourselves, is there a way where we can make a percentage of our media money actually make us money back that we can then reinvest in content? And so one of the partnerships was our partnership with BuzzFeed. So with BuzzFeed, we're building a platform similar to Tasty, but that's around health and wellness. So there could be a world where my next distribution network is to messaging to you. And when I'm messaging you around health and wellness, I might not sell you a cookie, but I might sell you a recipe. I might sell you a health regimen that includes our products. I might sell you one of our healthier products like Enjoy Life. So I don't know, but what I know is that what matters most is where consumer retention is at, and how do we go there?
I get what you're saying, but why would I pay money and buy anything from you when I can get for free off the internet, because everything's available? So my question is, do you think
you might buy the recipe we might deliver the recipe, and you might buy the products to make that recipe via the button. I guess the point is that I can come up with 1,000 scenarios right here with you now that might prove out the use case. My message is really simple, which is I don't see a world where that doesn't happen. That's going to happen. I don't know what the answer is, but if we don't begin to understand, then we'll, and if you think about it, this is always the case. So if I came into your office in the 1950s and I said, look, I want you to buy this thing called television, you'd laugh me out of your office. You say this thing called radio works really well for me, I don't need your TV. But what was happening, and three brave brands jumped in, P&G, Unilever, and Kraft, what happened was you began to see consumer consumption of television eclipse where investment is. And that delta creates opportunity, and ultimately they build competitive advantage that do that business for the next 50 to 60 years. We're seeing the exact same thing. Think about how much money is actually going into messaging, very little. And think about how much consumer consumption. That's where attention is. How do I win?
So tell me this, between, in this particular conference, at this festival, video was very heavily talked about, and all the three players, all the three social behemoths are all betting very big on video. Because I think that's where the money is, and that's where the engagement is. So if I had to ask you to juxtapose, let's say, video versus text messaging, how would you see that?
I don't know yet. So to answer your question, video versus messaging, I think more attention is in messaging right now. So I know if videos drive brand engagement, brand purchase, brand lift, I don't know that yet. I don't even know what really works. You can also deliver video via messaging. I don't know yet. But the point is we're here at a festival that is the brightest minds on the planet, and nobody's talking about it. What's the creativity look like in a world where you can only send a message? What does it look? Is emojis? Is that the next? I don't know. Nobody knows. What blows me away, and I bet you next year everybody will be talking about this. But what blows me away is that nobody's talking about it right now, and that's where 4 billion people are spending the largest majority of time.
So would you say you're ahead of the curve right now?
I don't know if we're ahead. I just think we're curious. I think we're curious, and I think we're willing to be curious and make really calculated bets on where we know consumer adoption and attention is going.
I know you've referred to it, but I want you to explain it to me and simplify it to me. And I really want to talk about your new, model, your new marketing model, which is the fearless marketing model, which is what you're calling it. If you could, dumb it down for me and explain to me how that works.
Well, fearless was a message and an idea that Dana Anderson put to the company 4 years ago, daring us to be fearless. What we've just announced is our media monetization model. It's a model we've been working on for over 2 years now to make sure that we think this is a reality. And the idea here is, can you create content that people actually want to watch? Can you create content that people are willing to pay money for? Either buy or advertisers pay for it. And so for us, when we talk about media monetization, it's really about, can we make a percentage of our media investments actually make us money back, real revenue back that we can invest? At the end of the day, this is all about growing the business. Growth is our game.
But it's okay if you move from your core.
This is not moving from the core. We're a media investor through and through.
So you become a content company as well.
Well, every brand talks about being a publisher, right? But the fact of the matter is they're not publishers. They just happen to have a lot of money, and they can create something with a big logo on it and put it out to a lot of people. Real publishers, as you know, get paid because either somebody loves the content so much they want to buy it, or somebody believes in it so much they want to advertise behind it. And that changes the quality dynamic. It forces you to create. So, look, on our Stride brand, Mad Intent, we've reformulated the product. The new brand behavior is around intensity, Mad Intent, and we're dropping a guy out of the sky at 25,000 feet with nothing on, literally no wingsuit, no parachute, is landing safely. That's a piece of live programming that everybody in the world is going to want.
How will that rub off on Mondelez?
So Mad Intent. So Stride is integrated through the entire program, and there's no question about that. You can't do anything without coming across Stride. But more important than that is that it's something that people are going to tune into. Consumers are skipping ads. They're literally skipping ads, both on DVRs and set-top boxes and online. So how do you create something where a consumer actually wants to sit and tune in? And that's just a different ballgame. And by the way, content creators have been doing it for years. And this is not new. P&G owns soap operas. We were just now disintermediated from it, and it changed the quality dynamic. And so that's really what we're going back to. So we believe 10% of our media money will make us money back.
How long has this program been running, or this initiative of
Monetization? We just announced monetization, but we've been working on the model. So we already have existing proof points. So we have a game, Oreo Twisted and Dunk, which is a cash positive game with 11 million downloads. We have a platform called Cheese Rank, which we sell ads in. It's a rich-based program. It's basically the BuzzFeed for cheese. And so we've had models in the marketplace already to prove this out, and now it's a firm initiative that we're going after as an organization around the world.
So it's too early to say if the model is going to.
No, it will work. There's no question. Okay. I mean, the way that we're structuring it is we're structuring deals with guaranteed payoff. So we're selling distribution rights. Before we even sign contracts, we already know that we sold distribution and markets. So we're not approaching, and I think that's what separates us from a lot of the other content creation models that are out there, which are creating content hoping that it monetizes. We're structuring deals that we know it monetizes.
So some of the stuff that you speak about really, blows, I think, my mind and all my viewers' minds. Because please remember, I come from not such a sophisticated market. Where is the black belt training for this new, fragmented, always-on world? So all these things.
Black belt training is guys like BuzzFeed. So if you really look at it, BuzzFeed, on what might have been a $50 million initial investment, probably creates more impressions than the largest media buyer on the planet, where amongst them actually buy in a year. They probably, on a $50 million investment, the largest media buyer is probably in the $4 or $5 billion range, right? Just think about that. That's insane. Casey is the largest food publisher, and I believe they've been around 18 months. Largest food publisher in the world. I think it's it might even be less than that. BuzzFeed are examples of that. Thrillist are examples of that. All the guys that create platforms of this generation of consumption are all the black belt training.
So my question to you is particularly on video, because so I'm at Facebook, I'm at Twitter, I'm at Google. Everybody's next big top seems to be video, and a lot of brands such as yourselves are also betting very big on content. My question to you is, how do you discover this is going to, in a bit, there's going to be such
messaging.
that will be your ultimate.
I think there's going to be a lot of discovery challenges. I think, again, it's such a fragmented world, but it's not going anywhere. It's just going to get worse. It's never contracting. I do believe that messaging has a place in tuning. I do believe that you're going to see more networks and broadcasts using messaging. I do believe that that's going to be a huge part of getting consumers back into an engaged state. I do believe that video is massive, and I do believe video is huge. I think video doesn't really take advantage of all the nuances and transformations that's happening to consumers as a result of this device, where I think that learning the world of messaging does that a little bit more. I also don't think video throws off a lot of first-party data, so I think you have to, but I do think that it is becoming harder and harder. And, again, we subscribe to the laws of growth, and distinctiveness is one of the most important things. And so the more brands can be distinctive, the more brands can create stuff like we're creating on Stride, on Heaven's Sake.
But my question to you is, have you figured out if really good content and experiments such as these translate into, market effectiveness?
Well, the beauty of this thing is that it's cash neutral, so.
Okay.
But I do believe that they do. Brand integration has been around forever. It's not like a new thing. But now we're doing it for a total hour. And we're doing it in a way that's financially, the financial model is vastly different and in our favor. So yeah. But we do have proof points that integrations work.
But in 2015 was a really tough year for media agencies. Extremely tough. I think they're just about recovering.
Palooza. Some did well, some did not.
Yeah, exactly. So for a man who was in the midst of all that action, how do you think they've done, and do you think they've, pulled up their socks, managed to be slightly more, managed to give marketers more confidence?
I think the challenge was not our confidence in media agencies. I think the challenge was our confidence in a changing ecosystem. And I think what most people really wanted to do was say, and what I think was great about it is it reset the industry. We were able to say to the industry, hey, the world's changing. Right now we're currently operating with the same exact relationship that we've had forever. How do we rethink that relationship? And I know for us specifically, we went in with 3 very distinct points of view that we wanted. Buying is easy, right? Anybody can pressure and negotiate. We wanted to understand, A, content monetization. How can we do this? Is it realistic? How would you do it? What would you think about? 2, e-commerce. In a world that's changing and shortening the path to purchase, how does media play into that? And 3rd, which is most important, which I think is something that's sometimes overlooked, was talent. How are you going to ensure to us that you can retain the talent? And more importantly, what do we have to do to help you retain the talent? What do I have to do? More fee? I get that. Let's work on that. But how do I create programs that allow your talent to believe that we are the most innovative company on the planet, that are giving them the opportunity to do things on our business that no other client is willing to do? How do we create retention together around it? And that was so important. I flew around the globe to every single one of our regions for that pitch. And I talked about that more than anything. And that's what I cared about. And that's what I personally graded more on than almost any of those other things. Because at the end of the day, Bain did a study that showed by 2030, talent will be the single determinant of growth for an organization beyond energy, data, infrastructure. Having the right people changes the world for you. And so that's what I want to make sure, that we are seen as the client, that every talented individual in our agencies wants to work, and they're willing to fight to get onto our business, and then as a result, they will fight to grow our business.
So are you saying the reset has happened?
A large percentage of the reset has happened. I think media agencies have come out on the other side, some bruised, some battered, some better off than they were, but with the understanding that there's a new dynamic in the marketplace that they need to continually change to deliver against. I think one of the challenges still facing both client and agency is measurement. And not just can I measure it, how I measure it, and how I've measured it, is that accurate? Ratings are down 50% around the world. The rating system is still the single largest piece of currency that we buy media on. I don't know if that's right. And they don't usually take into account delayed viewing, streaming, or, and so are we in the right space there? I know we're starting, so I don't know. I think the next reset will be clients. I think you will see client consortiums form, client councils form, because unless clients continue to put pressure on the ecosystem, it's not going to change. And what's going to happen is that you're going to see businesses not grow as fast as they used to be able to, because we don't have the right currency of measurement, and eyeballs are fragmenting dramatically. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. Going to where attention is with messaging, heading off the fact that we know investment, it's going to be harder and harder to buy reach. So really just thinking ahead of what's going to continue to grow.
So when you look at mobile and you look at social, are you happy with the current currency of measurement that you have in both these platforms?
We've done a lot of work.
Okay.
Integrating Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Google into our marketing mix models.
But who's measuring it?
So it's a combination of a number of the large measurement companies that you know around the world.
But the analytics is provided by the companies themselves, right?
By the companies themselves, alongside verified by the measurement company. Are you concerned that they're delivering us poor information? Is that what
yeah, that's exactly my point.
I have a lot of trust in our partners. I have a lot of trust in them, so I don't think that that's the case. But they are verified in a way. I think the biggest challenge is the new platforms. So what we don't have, look at how long, Facebook has been around for 12 years. 12 years is what it took us. Snapchat will probably surpass video views of any of these channels, and they've been around for 4. We need to be able to quickly integrate these into our marketing mix models, into our measurement fast, because these platforms are taking off. They're going to shoot up. I don't know if they shoot down, but they're shooting up a lot faster. And for us to take 12 years,
fair enough.
That's crazy. How can you win? How can you win? So again, WhatsApp. What's the measurement model for that in our market? I don't know. And that's already messaging in general. It's 4 billion people already. You know, it's already at scale. The amount of people on messaging platforms that own toothbrushes in the world.
I just want to, a quick update on Mondelez's e-commerce piece and how that's progressing.
Yeah. So we started e-com a year and a half ago. We have built a pretty interesting custom business where we launched custom Oreos, the first time ever in 103 years. We ship direct to consumer, and that a person is able to customize the product. It was a fabulous user experience. We just launched that in China, so that's been pretty big. The most important thing that we've done is just build core operations. So we've hired some of the most talented people from some of the best organizations. Amazon, they have a whole space now that we built in Seattle. We hired from Reckitt Benckiser, we've hired from Colgate, we've hired from Unilever. So I'm plucking every piece of talent I can find to build this business. The biggest thing is figuring out the right operations, how to make sure that we're operating the business in the most efficient, growth-driven way. And then the next piece, surprisingly, has just been, what's the user experience on our retailers? So our majority of our business is partnered with retailers. What's the user experience on those retailer sites? What does it look like when you search for Oreo on Amazon? How does Cadbury show up on Tesco? So really fixing that content and creating the right experience. And then the last piece has been, what's the right pack architecture, pack price architecture? What do consumers actually want from that shopping mission? So we spent a lot of time uncovering the insights around shopper missions and now delivering. So the business is phenomenal. I'm excited. I know we're going to crush that billion number. So I'm not, but I think we still have a lot more innovation. So we've done a lot on impulse. We're going to do more on impulse. I think there's a lot of emerging e-com players that provide an interesting viewpoint for us, an interesting opportunity. So it's just it's been an exciting ride, and the business is great, and I just look forward to continuing to grow it.
Thank you so much, Bonin, on that note. Once again, pleasure was all mine. Amazing conversation, and I hope to see you very soon in India.
I hope to see you too. Thank you so much, as always. And if not in India, which I hope we do, I will see you next year, that's for sure.